Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
Electoral politics is all you need to know about brand marketing. The reason I say that is because, like you said, there are the basics of, you have a certain target group, you want to reach out to them, you want to convince them, it's the same thing. But it's also about building a brand, right? It's saying, this is what I stand for as a political party, and therefore this is my core TG. They will always support me.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Conversations in Quarantine. We've been doing this with a lot of really interesting industry professionals and we've got great feedback from them. Today we are going to meet someone from a company that we don't often cover and a campus also that we don't often cover, and but they are right up there. We are speaking to Sandeep Ramesh, who's working at Google, and he's from FMS Delhi. Sandeep, thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine.
Sandeep, to begin with, we hear so many things about Google, right? About the work culture and how is Google set up? What is the structure like, and what is it that you do in Google? Because your job profile also sounds very confusing for someone who understands the traditional way of corporate world.
I would think that there would be very few people within Google who would know the entirety of the gamut of operations that it runs. Broadly, I would say we have engineering, which is the folks who build products and the folks who code and the folks who sort of are the engine of innovation from a product standpoint. And then there is, of course, technical infrastructure, which is Gmail, Maps, etc., etc. And then there's global business organization, which is the one that keeps the money coming in or the revenue.
Right.
If you guys know how Google makes money through ads, amongst many other things. And within that, there would be sales and marketing. And it's a very matrix organization, which essentially means that it's not traditionally hierarchical in that sense. That, for example, you could be working in a team of 20 people, where each of those 20 people are reporting to different folks. And the line of command meets only at Sundar, right? So it could be, it's as matrix as that. And therefore it's a lot of cross-functional work and a lot of matrix. And I think it's not unique to Google, it's most Silicon Valley. So if you potentially Facebook or Apple, Amazon would be like that.
Sandeep, within that setup, now within GBO, what is it that you do? What is it that you handle currently, and how your role, how have you gotten there?
I came from a marketing background. I started in, I came from Unilever, so I started in the CPG vertical. And if you were to understand how this works from a revenue standpoint, so if I'm a brand manager of Dove and I want to do a campaign, I want to do it on YouTube, not only do I want to know what particular product specifications are on YouTube, I also want to know what are the best campaigns that have been run on YouTube by other brands. I also want to know what is the best way to optimize a creative on YouTube, for example. I would also like to know the best-in-class case studies from around the world, which you have access to. And most importantly, I would like to know what people are searching for in my category and insights, right? So there is a gamut of services which are more in the line of consulting that you offer to the large customers, which is where we come in. And to manage that, you need people who understand that business really well, who empathize with that particular client and that particular brand manager really well, and sort of connect the dots. And because Google has access to a lot of data, which is potentially what people are looking for and trends, you tend to sort of become more than just a regular partner. You become a more consulting partner. Of course, you don't charge them for it, but it's part of the white glove support. Obviously, you charge them for the media that they run. And then I went on to head the media vertical, the media and entertainment vertical. So we used to handle all the movie studios, all the OTTs. We looked at movie as an industry, the movie studios as an industry. And we said, how can we help them more than just, putting the trailer on YouTube? Then we did the analysis on each of those trailers. And we actually built a model that can correlate the watch time on the trailer and the views in the watch time on the trailer to the box office success. So you actually had a predictive model that could say, depending on how your trailer did in the first 7 days, we can actually help you tell you, approximately how much this would do in the box office. Since then, my current role, I've then shifted to the US now. I lead marketing for what we call partners. Majority of our work is with agencies. The agencies are the ones that go and do the outreach. They're the ones who do the one-on-one selling. They're the ones who go and educate. And we build a program for the agencies. Now, you can imagine that there are more than 20,000 agencies that we work with. So in sales, I would be working with those agencies on a daily basis with their CEO, with their CXO, and with their people, and helping them on a one-on-one basis. In marketing, what I'm doing is running sort of a program which is similar to, let's say, a loyalty program, where you say, hey guys, this month we have a bunch of new innovations for you. Why don't you take it out to the market? And if you take it out to the market, this is the benefits that you would potentially get. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is saying that, hey, COVID has just happened. Now we're going to build a COVID recovery playbook, and it's open to all of you guys. Why don't you take the playbook and then spread the word around? Obviously, you can make your own modifications. You can add your Facebook and Instagram to it, and then you go to the client and give them one particular picture. But at least here's the Google part of it.
These Silicon Valley companies are very stressful to work for, and you've spent 6 years now in Google, and you've also done a fair bit of traveling in that time. You also pursue other interests in storytelling, etc. So one is, why have you spent 6 years at Google? And second is, how have you managed to do other things beyond work?
What is the biggest cause of stress in usually people's lives and workplaces? But typically it's their boss, or it's uncertainty or ad hocism. If the boss is indisciplined and ad hoc and sort of not very certain about things, you've got to be stressed in life. Put your stake right ahead in the boss. So basically in Google, twice a year, we have something called People Manager Review, and you get rated by your team. That's taken very, very seriously. Now, suddenly you're not only being judged on how your output or your target, sales targets, or how you appear to your boss, you're being judged by how your team is judging you, right? It becomes an important parameter. So it's one of the things that Google does to eliminate what we call competent assholes, right? So it's like on that scale of great performance, great competence, but nobody likes that person from who reports to them, but people above him love it. Those are the people that cause the most stress in the organizations, and Google tries to eliminate that particular piece. And I think it can afford to, because the performance doesn't depend on one person as much as the stress levels can. So I think Google feels that it's more important that the person is a nice person and humble, and you can see that in our CEO himself, right? So the culture comes top down. Humility and niceness is important, and I think that plays a large role in reducing stress.
Sandeep, let's go back in time now, and let's talk about your first company that you worked for, which is HUL, fresh out of campus from FMS. This young kid who enters HUL, and how did you grow into a professional at HUL, which helped you crack a company like Google later on?
The thing about FMCG marketing is that it provides the foundation for marketing principles that can be applied anywhere, and therefore it becomes a sort of the starting point for many different different functions. So without doubt, you would in a meeting of 20 CMOs, there would be 15 who would have some connection or the other to Unilever, HUL, and it would be so easy to build a context. In fact, a lot of my success at Google was because I was speaking to CMOs at all points in time, and CMOs definitely respect you. Either they are already from HUL or they definitely respect you if you're from Unilever. I started as a business leadership trainee. My first 2.5 years was in sales. I was the area sales manager for first AP and then Karnataka. And most importantly, I was leading a team of 50 folks at 23, 24, right? Very few companies give you that responsibility right up front. And then I went on to do brand roles. My first brand role was I was leading this brand called Huggies. It's a diaper brand. It was great fun. We were in a diaper war with Pampers. Amazing experiences on how we need to do media and how we need to work on on specific insights. I think the marketing stints in Unilever definitely build a lot of appreciation of creative judgment. The rigorous marketing process to how to build an insight and how to identify the TG, it's so process oriented and it's so codified that I'm able to apply it to every part of life even today.
What are some of the modern skills of today that are required to do well in sales and marketing in some of the top companies in the world? And hence, what can I do right now to make myself ready for the world of jobs?
I think one of the most important things you need to know is that principles of marketing are far more important than the knowledge. So don't obsess or spend too much time over specific knowledge. Like, I know a lot of people are into digital marketing these days, and digital marketing means knowing how Instagram works and how Facebook works and how Google AdWords work. That's knowledge that can change tomorrow. Principles of marketing are still segmentation, targeting, positioning, 4P, 6P, the way that you want to do it. And the more you can understand those principles and start applying them in anything that you see, observe around you. I think one of the great skills you can obviously learn right up front is storytelling.
Right.
Because ultimately you're always telling a story, right? You're telling a story to your interviewer if you want to get a job. You're telling a story to your boss. You're telling a story to the sales team if you're internally marketing, or you're telling a story to an investor if you're pitching. So how do you build a story? Which means that how do people absorb what you say, and what is going through their mind when you're talking to them is very important. That's a skill that you can pick up. You don't need you don't need corporate experience for that. But if you know some basics of marketing, see if you can apply it to something very commonplace around you. I think a great place to start is, let's say, politics, right? For me, electoral politics is absolutely the closest mirror to brand marketing you can get. Electoral politics is all you need to know about brand marketing. The reason I say that is because, like you said, there are the basics of, you have a certain target group, you want to reach out to them, you want to convince them, it's the same thing. But it's also about building a brand, right? It's saying, this is what I stand for as a political party, and therefore this is my core TG. They will always support me. If I make this move, will I antagonize this TG, or will I add a new cluster? That's what every brand manager needs to think. Brand equity or building your brand is just a slightly longer way of looking at ROI. You take the short term and increase that time frame to, let's say, 10 years, and then you think of, is the ROI in what I'm doing? Then suddenly all the brand building activities start becoming more important than, let's say, a sales driven activity or a promotion, right? And that's the same for politics. It's like, what horizon are you looking at? Are you looking at a 15-year, 20-year horizon? Or are you looking at the next election, or the current, or this one? So, yeah, if there's one advice I would give, just get deep into electoral politics. Is nothing better than India, the most complex political dynamic in the world. For you to understand how do political parties look at this, how do they analyze whether they're going to get incremental vote share or not. Start analyzing vote share. It's the same as market share. It's all very congruous.
Now you've been working in the media and entertainment business for a long time. It's not just your view as a participant in it, but as someone who's been consulting them from the Google lens for a long time. So what are some of the emerging trends, especially in the context of the COVID situation, that you see in the coming years?
I would look at how do you spend your time, and if you divide it into passive consumption and active creation, just look at these two things. Passive consumption is you going through feeds mindlessly, right? Instagram, TikTok, or whatever it is. And this is for all the youngsters over there who spend a lot of time on passively consuming content. Passive consumption of content dumbs you down. It makes you less mindful. You don't know how much time you spend, and it makes you feel less productive. My point is that why don't you spend your time creating content? Even if you're on TikTok, YouTube, whatever else it is, the process of actively creating content, whether it's a blog, whether it's writing, LinkedIn, whatever else it is, it sharpens your brain. It makes you more mindful of the fact that you're spending a certain amount of time doing something constructive. And more importantly, I think as a skill, 10 years from now, creating content will become a very important element of your life. And I know a lot of people are in this stage where they want to acquire brands. Like they want to go to the best universities, they want to go to the best companies and get the halo of that brand on them, and that's a big mark of success for them. But I would say, why don't you also do something that can create your own brand along with this? Of course, get great, go to Harvard or go to great companies, that's fine, but also start building your own brand, because that I think is going to become very critical. How many followers you have, how many people you can influence on your own, then you start becoming an asset to any place you go to, right? Then you become an individual asset instead of being only associated with your brand, and you never know where the world is going, right? So another recession, another thing, and you don't have a job, then you have your individual brand to sort of insulate you from that. I think it's now very clear that the move to digital is secular and it's not going to go back. Like once people watch something on demand, they are not going to go back to watching it an appointment. It's very clear. Once people are used to higher quality of content, they're not going to go back to low quality of content. So it's very clear that the future of entertainment is going to be online. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But you have to understand the business and the economics of content as well, right? And there are fundamentally two large ways in which you can monetize your content. One is ad supported, and one is people paying you directly, which is subscription, etc. Now the problem in a lot of content creators, I get a lot of questions from content creators who want to somehow have great content but want to make money. The problem is that if in order for you to make money from the ad supported model, there needs to be advertising money, and for there to be advertising money, businesses have to be doing well, GDP growth has to be doing well. So India has to be growing at 8 to 10% for us to be a great ad supported model or a market. That is not happening. It used to be happening, but it's not a given anymore. So my confidence in India scaling to be a large ad supported market, it's gone from the short medium term to the really long term.
All right, Sandeep, thanks a lot for doing this with us. I think there were a lot of insights here about working at Google, generally the world of jobs around media and entertainment. So really appreciate you doing this with us. I think the students will gain a lot from watching this video. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Hi guys, Inside IIM has come up with an exciting new one-on-one mentorship product where you get to interact with superstar managers from different businesses, different functions. You can ask them everything around your career, your education, your future success. If you are interested, the link is in the description below. Thanks.